using the AFI
Reporting live from my flesh checking in. Lay low, play slow enterprise.
Would NIBIN essentially have been kind of like a double check to your research that we did on the AFI resources?
Right, so the
Reporting live
resources,
from
I'm
my
trying to
flesh.
expand my list of possible
Lay low, play
candidates.
slow enterprise.
I expanded that list, and those
Mama,
resources
we live
also
again.
told me what types of fire pins I expected to see. I didn't just take that at face value. I went, looked through NIBIN in order to attempt to confirm whether those resources were accurate. According to the samples that I looked at on this database, they were as advertised or published in those resources. Finally, I used NIBIN again as a second sort of double check, putting our actual evidence in and seeing if there are any other brands I'm unaware of that had similar marks.
Now let's talk about ghost guns. You used that term a couple times. If you would describe what a ghost gun is.
Sure. Well, this slide sort of depicts the, I guess, mainstream way of manufacturing and distributing firearms. So they're typically made by a licensed manufacturer, shipped to a retailer that has a federal firearms license, and they're sold to us in the public from that retailer. So that is how typical guns are distributed. I say guns of typical manufacturer as opposed to the species that are commonly referred to as ghost guns.
Okay, moving on to that. Can you describe what you are illustrating here?
Right, so the ghost gun species uses a frame that is the portion you're going to grip. This is the part that needs to be serialized and controlled if it is manufactured and shipped to you, the consumer. Ghost guns use a product that is an incomplete frame. It requires you as the consumer to make just a few adjustments, drill a few holes in order to make that frame operational. You can order these over the internet. You can also order what's depicted there. The frame here is in that pink color. You're also going to need the other firing components, such as the slide and the barrel. These can also be ordered online. Then, using simple hand tools, as most of us would have in our garage, these aftermarket parts can be assembled and to produce a functional gun. Now, this gun
He said I might be in trouble.
have a serial number in that state because when it was shipped, when the
Hurry
frame
up,
was
no.
shipped from that manufacturer, it was shipped
Somebody
in an
lost their
unfinished
life.
condition.
I don't know, this is my first
which
day
did not require it to have a serial
catching up myself on.
This is where the term ghost gun, I think, is taken.
If anybody
forward
know
because
anything
does
about
not have that serial number
Comment,
that's,
feel free to comment.
known
Let
to,
me catch me up.
to law enforcement.
You talked about the three parts of the gun, and you said the pink part that you have illustrated up there is the frame. What are the other two parts? The gray rectangular shape on the top and the kind of orangish cylindrical piece underneath the pink.
These are the main other components. Okay, so the pink part is that frame. That orange tubular shaped item is the barrel. That is where you load the cartridge, and that's where the bullet's actually going to travel, go towards the target. The gray object at the top of this image, that's the slide. It contains the breech face and the mechanism associated with the firing pin. Marks.
Why is filing your taxes with Free Tax USA different?
They finna get to it though.
Of the firearm.
And are you illustrating that you can essentially purchase these individual pieces separately? So you could just buy a frame, you just wanted the frame?
Correct. You can buy the kit that can be used to produce a frame, and then the other components can be purchased separately from various retailers.
Okay. If you already have a working firearm, but you want to exchange a piece like the slide for the frame, can you do that by removing a piece and then adding an aftermarket piece?
Yeah.
Yes, you can. Just like my car has a license plate, it's licensed, I can change the rims on my car. I can buy aftermarket ones and slap it on there. That's what we're essentially allowed to do with these components of the gun, outside of the frame itself.
Okay. One. I think you already described they can be assembled using hand tools. What are you illustrating here in slide number 5?
So this just illustrates a couple actual products that are out there for privately made firearms is one of the terms, the slang is goes with. These products show some tooling that can be used to actually complete the manufacturing and make the kit, which is sold into a functional frame that can be joined with a aftermarket slide and used as firearms.
You said there's 2 brands that are illustrated up there. What are the 2 brands?
These are 2 very common brands. One is at the bottom center is Polymer 80 with the P80 logo. There is another brand, the firearm is marketed as an SS80, and that's depicted in the top right portion of the slide.
Okay. All right, moving on. Could you discuss kind of the manufacture or the features of some of these ghost guns?
Right, so this image is depicting the fact that these kits are produced to mimic a typical gun that's already in mainstream production. So there are 2 actual models here that are listed there. On the left-hand side, there's a SS80 is one. There's a PF9SS. That's another. These 2 particular ghost gun frames are compatible with a particular model of Glock, and that Glock is called a Glock 43. So they are made to be sort of imitation frames of that Glock, and they are compatible with those aftermarket parts which are also compatible with that particular model of mainstream manufactured Glock.
So when you were first explaining to us how, kind of the origins of what a ghost gun is, you contrasted that to a gun that came from a licensed manufacturer. Am I stating that correctly?
Yes.
Would the Glock 43 be produced by the Glock firearm company? Would that be what you're talking about as being produced by a mainstream licensed manufacturer?
Yes.
And the ones that you have listed here on the left, the Polymer 80 PF9SS and the Glock Store SS80, would those be the ghost gun versions of a Glock 43?
Correct. These are the privately made firearm or ghost gun versions of the frame of a Glock 43.
Made to mimic a Glock 43?
Yes.
Okay. All right. What are you illustrating here?
So here it showed one set of aftermarket parts just illustrated there. The markings I found on these evidence items can be linked to a particular aftermarket slide. This particular aftermarket slide is known to be compatible with a few models of firearm frames. These include the Glock 43, 43X, the left-hand side that's depicted by that dark black colored frame. On the right-hand side, the pink frame is representing the ghost gun equivalents of that Glock frame, which may be marketed as the SS80 or PF9SS.
In your explanation just now, you said the evidence items that you examined. Are you talking about these cartridge cases that were item 1 in that exhibit People's 32?
That's right.
Okay. And you're saying that the class characteristics that you saw on these cartridge cases, those three characteristics, that it was 9mm, that it had a teardrop-shaped aperture, and a teardrop-shaped firing pin impression. Those are the characteristics you were using to narrow it down to these 4 types of firearms?
Correct.
Yes, that grouping of class characteristics
Okay, yes. Tell them.
is known to me through those resources. I've only been able to associate it with this one particular aftermarket slide. And this aftermarket slide is compatible just with a few styles of guns. The known brands and models are listed there.
Those 4? Right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's talk about your finding, the conclusion to your analysis. Have you summarized your conclusion on this slide, People's 59? Go back to.
Yes. Final conclusion. What you're not going to find in the report, I cannot say this configuration only comes from brand X. What we know is that after some considerable research, I can give you the list of candidates that we know to be consistent with these items. While these are consistent, we cannot really say that these are the only ones which will ever be manufactured with those general features. Due to that, the qualifying term, but not limited to, always appears in type and caliber findings, such as the ones I produced.
So why is it, again, that you put that qualifying statement in your analysis? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but you stated 9mm is a very common caliber, correct?
Yes.
But at the end of your type and caliber analysis, you really narrowed it down to those 3 features were only really typical of 4 different firearms that you have seen come through your laboratory, through your research on the AFI resources, and cross-comparing that with NIBIN. Am I saying that accurately?
Yes. Based on the research that I've described, I have only encountered empirical evidence showing me that this grouping of class characteristics exists as a consequence of that particular aftermarket slide. That's all the information that I could determine after some relatively considerable evidence.
But you don't limit it to just those 4 firearms, fair to say?
Correct. You can't state that it's those 4 and only those 4, because these class characteristics are voluntarily chosen by the manufacturers. They can change. It's also possible that there are other items out there that we have not run into. Any research material I use is finite. So for that reason, we include that qualifying mark to be overt.
But after your research in this area, you narrowed it to 4 that you, those 4 different firearms were the only that you could find that had those 3 class characteristics among them, correct?
Objection has an answer.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Your Honor. That's correct. I'm only aware of the aftermarket product that's compatible with those 4 models.
Okay, that's all I have, Your Honor.
All right, we'll take a 15-minute break, folks. Please be outside the courtroom doors at 3:20. Please don't discuss the case.
Take a break. So y'all see, man, court taking a break. They gotta lay low, play slow for a few minutes. So jury don't get bored. So the jury don't get too bored. It's the live ASAP goddamn trial. I ain't know nothing about this. I just seen it on my phone today. So I thought about I'll cover it. Try to keep up, see what's going on with it.
Imagine if recording remote guests felt like they were in the
Hope everybody having a great Thursday, man. A blessed and highly favored Thursday. So ASAP is on trial. ASAP Rocky, real name Raheem Mayers, is accused of shooting at his former childhood friend Terrell Efron, aka ASAP Riley, if I'm saying that right, near a Hollywood hotel in November 21. What? In year 2021? He was arrested at Los Angeles International Airport for the crime 5 months later. In April 22, ASAP Rocky faced 2 charges of felony assault with a semi-automatic firearm. Prosecutors indicate they are seeking 8 years in prison if convicted. Damn, Sal. Telling y'all, man, be mindful, man. Be mindful, young folks. Be mindful, man. 30 seconds can change your life. But no matter what you built for, you just gotta keep letting your mental know that you already built for whatever you finna go through. Whatever you gotta go through out here. Rakim. That's probably how you say it, man. So Rakim ain't dead though. Yeah. How you facing 2 different ones though? For one incident. I don't know, like OG PERCY, boy, somebody gonna have to make it make sense. No Kizzy. And that's just facts. Somebody gonna have to goddamn make it make sense. Make it make sense. Some serious charges though. Them folks that they facing. Let's see, can we look up something else? They say they facing goddamn boy. Whoo! Oh, I got something we can check out while they go on recess. We gonna multitask. I'm gonna show y'all something. But this here, let me show y'all about this. Check this out. Do we got anything more update? It happened last week. I wanna say y'all. I was waiting. I was holding it in the back pocket, but I ain't got no more info. It's the latest info right here. It's the latest info on it right here. We're gonna get back to AC.
Cover of darkness, a group of thieves caught on camera blowing up the entrance of the Drents Museum in the Netherlands, stealing priceless archaeological artifacts that date back centuries. Police say the museum in the city of Essen was hit with heavy explosions at around 3:45 a.m., shattering windows and damaging surrounding buildings. Roughly 30 minutes later, police responded to reports of a burning vehicle nearby and believed the suspects in the heist could have been involved with the incident and switched out getaway cars. Here are the 4 items police say they got away with. This golden helmet that dates back to 450 BC, when the region of Romania was known as Dacia. The well-preserved helmet is thought to have belonged to a Dacian king or noble and was discovered by a Romanian child in the 1920s, according to the museum. And 3 Dacian royal bracelets, also made from gold and dating back to 50 BC. The museum calling the burglary a dark day, saying in part, in its 170-year existence, there has never been such a major incident. This expert saying it's simply unsellable. The whole world knows it, so they likely went for the gold to, I almost dare not utter the words, melt it. Art experts estimate the gold from the helmet is worth roughly $90,000, but the value of the piece, Romania says, is incalculable. Controversy stirring now over why these pieces from the National History Museum in Bucharest were in the Netherlands in the first place. Romanian Prime Minister Marcel Ciolacu says their government never actually authorized the transport of the items. He now plans to organize a crisis team within the government to locate the artifacts.
I guess it's, weighing the risks and rewards. Is it worth lending these very precious objects that have, again, a high monetary value? Can you trust another country with something that might have a monetary value to them, but not a historic value to them?
As a multinational effort to recover these precious pieces and find the suspects has only just begun. Megan Fitzgerald, NBC News.
Oh,
Thanks for watching.
Boy, they ain't finding them. Them boys ain't finna go pawn that type of. Man, look here. I don't promote violence and crime. But I rather for young folk, if you out here want to just be outlaw, put your mind and do something like that. But scratch that. Them folks ain't finna go pawn it, sell it. They already got paid for what they had to do. Somebody that was top dollars, you know what I'm saying, back in the shadows, wanted that in their crib. You feel me? Straight up, but I don't promote violence and crime, but that kind of inspired me. They're like, man, mother put their brain together to do something like that. Or anything you put your brain into, you can do it now. That's a hell of a move right there. I ain't promoting no crime. I'm not promoting no crime, but shit, that kind of sparks me. That get my motor running. Right there, that's motivational. That's inspirational. It's all about what you do when the energy gets to you. You got control of it then. Yes, sir. I like that. I love news like that instead of goddamn somebody slide down, kid miss, gotta stand up. Oh, no. I like news like that. I like news like that. I ain't gonna lie. Let me check my notes. There was something else. I wanted to run by the world. I wanted to run by the world. Cause it was for sure something else I wanted to run by the world. I ain't gonna give him that. Not just yet. We waiting on ASAP Rocky now. They ain't break. Recess real quick. I guess while we wait, let's see what Trump talking about. And this ain't no channel. Hey, if I click on anything about policies voodoo, this ain't no channel to be picking sides and all that. I ain't with that.
You know, every day many young people are being killed, soldiers. You know, the land is very flat. And hundreds of thousands of soldiers from each, many hundreds of thousands from each side are dead. And they're laying in fields all over the place. Nobody to even collect. There's landmines all over. It's a disaster. But it's very flat. It's great. It's farmland. And it's very, very flat. And the only thing that stops a bullet is the human body. And the human body is stopping a lot of bullets.
Within the
I hope
first
so.
three to
I hope to have 6 months. No, I hope long before 6 months. Look, Russia's losing a lot of young people, and so is Ukraine. And it should have never been started. That's a war that should have never happened. I guarantee you, if I were president, that war would have never happened.
Who would you like to nominate to replace Michael Barr as vice chair of the board?
I'll be announcing something.
Mr. President, if we were to work under the assumption that you're serious about making Canada the 51st state of the United States, the leader of the Conservative Party in Canada said, under no circumstance will it ever be the 51st state.
Maybe he won't win, but maybe he will. I don't.
You had suggested.
Listen, I don't care.
Sir, real fast, you said you were considering military force to acquire Panama and Greenland. Are you also considering military force to annex and acquire Canada?
No, economic force. Because Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like, and it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada. But here's the problem with Canada. So many friends up there. I love the Canadian people. They're great. But we're spending hundreds of billions a year to protect it. We're spending hundreds of billions a year to take care of Canada. We lose in trade deficits. We're losing massive. We don't need their cars. You know, they make 20% of our cars. We don't need that. I'd rather make them in Detroit. We don't need the cars. We don't need their lumber. We have massive fields of lumber. We don't need their lumber. We have to unrestrict them because stupid people put, restrictions on, but I can do that with an executive order. We don't need anything they have. We don't need their dairy products. We have more than they have. We don't need anything. So why are we losing $200 billion a year and more to protect Canada? And I said that to as I called him, Governor Trudeau, I said, listen, what would happen if we didn't subsidize you, if we didn't, because we give them a lot of money. We help them, as an example, we're buying icebreakers, and Canada wants to join us in the buying of icebreakers. I said, we don't really want to have a partner in the buying of icebreakers. We don't need a partner. But no right. Nope, no right. Here's what we have. We have a right not to help them with their financial difficulties because we owe $36 trillion too. We're going to start knocking it out pretty fast, but we're going to be able to do it because of energy and other things. But no right. But why are we supporting a country 200 billion plus a year? Our military is at their disposal. All of these other things, they should be a state. That's why I told Trudeau when he came down, I said, what would happen if we didn't do it? He said Canada would dissolve. Canada wouldn't be able to function if we didn't take their 20% of our car market. They send us hundreds of thousands of cars. They make a lot of money with that. They send us a lot of other things that we don't need. We don't need their cars, and we don't need the other products. We don't need their milk. We got a lot of milk.
No.
We got a lot of everything, and we don't need any of it. So I said to him, well, why are we doing it? He said, I don't really know. He was unable to answer the question, but I can answer it. We're doing it because of habit, and we're doing it because we like our neighbors, and we've been good neighbors, but we can't do it forever, and it's a tremendous amount of money. And why should we have a $200 billion deficit and add on to that many, many other things that we give them in terms of subsidy? And I said, that's okay to have if you're a state. But if you're another country, we don't want to have it. We're not going to have it with European Union either. European Union, we have a trade deficit of $350 billion. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm product. They don't take anything. And so we're not going to have it with them either. Brian, go ahead.
Yes. Happy New Year, by the way.
Thank you.
We have some breaking news. You may not be aware of this, but it looks like Canon has blocked the DOJ from releasing the Smith report until further court proceedings. Get your thoughts on that.
That's a big story.
Yeah.
So, if I get it right, the fake witch hunt started by the DOJ having to do with books and records, and Biden had many more, and he wasn't protected by the Presidential Records Act, I was. But all of that fake stuff that took the lives of people, I mean, literally destroyed people. People are destroyed because of what they did. Destroyed. But we got to be president. But Biden did it for 40 years. He did it when he was a senator. That was illegal.
40 years.
And they ruled it was illegal. How about that? They said it's illegal, but he's unfit to stand trial. So he can stand and be president of the United States, but the prosecutor found that he's unfit for trial. I was going to use that as a major talking point, but I never got to use it because all of a sudden I had a new candidate who was also sort of unfit to stand trial, right? But so what you're saying is that the judge just blocked the, so Cannon was thrown off the case. They dropped their appeal because he had no case. They dropped all of that, the lawsuits against us. They lost the lawsuit. So this is Deranged Jack Smith. So he dropped the lawsuits. He was told to by the DOJ because they had no lawsuit. They lost in court in front of a very strong and a very brilliant judge. They lost in court, and that pertained to other cases in other courts. So he wanted to do a report just before I take office, probably. So he'll do like a 500-page report, and it'll be a fake report just like the investigation was a fake investigation. And I said, well, wait a minute. This guy was thrown off in disgrace. In disgrace. He's going back to The Hague or wherever they're going to send him. In disgrace. Because he failed so badly. Because it was a fake case against a political opponent. They thought they were going to use this to beat him.
Right now?
So what you're saying is, and I'm just hearing that they're not allowed to issue the report. So if they're not allowed to issue the report, that's the way it should be. Because he was thrown off the case in disgrace. Why should he be allowed to write a fake report? It'll only be a fake report. That's great news. Good.
And if I can just follow up real quickly, you want to comment, many Americans are angry that we're sending millions of dollars every month to the Taliban. Do you anticipate?
It's not even believable. Billions of dollars, not millions, billions. We pay billions of dollars
Billions?
to essentially the Taliban, Afghanistan. And that's given by Biden. That's the same man that took away
Did he just say
50 to
billion?
60 trillion dollars worth of value from the United States. They could, probably our most valuable asset.
Not billions.
Took away our
no.
most valuable asset. This can't be allowed to happen. We are now a nation of common sense. When he does that, 625 million acres, this can't be allowed to happen. Thank you for the information. Most other people probably knew about it, but they wouldn't have told me, right?
Huh.
Campaign trail, you vowed to bring down the prices at grocery stores very fast.
Yeah, we will
but
do it
then
fast.
You recently told Time Magazine that bringing down prices would be very hard. So what can the American people expect when you get into office?
It's always
When
hard to
can they
bring
go
down
the
prices when
grocery
somebody
store?
else has screwed something up like they did. But we'll bring them down, we'll get them down. Energy is going to bring down prices. We're going to have a lot of energy, and energy is what brought it up. Energy and their bad spending is what brought it up, and energy is
Okay.
going to bring it down. We're going to have prices down. I think you're going to see some pretty drastic price reductions. As an example, food, bacon, ham, apples,
Yeah, we can get
everything
that
has
here,
gone
right?
through the roof. It's one of the reasons I won. So as you know, and I said it, inflation was one of the reasons I won, but I think the biggest reason I won was the fact that they are allowing prisoners to come into our country. They released their prisoners, their murderers. Thousands of murderers are now walking around the streets of our
US?
cities and farmland all over.
Trump,
Murdered.
tell me
People that
about
have
the
killed.
folks that stay
Many,
in
32% have killed
these
more than
nice
one person.
hotels.
They released them
These
from their
foreigners that they
jails,
living in the
their
hotels.
prisons, and their mental institutions and insane asylums into our country. I believe that's the reason we got such a large
For
vote.
free.
All right, maybe one or two more questions. Yeah,
Nice
please, go ahead.
hotel.
Go ahead, can we? You go.
So
Yeah.
can you, President Carter is laying in state today in Washington. You had some harsh words for him about the Panama Canal. Is there any disconnect there?
Panama Canal. Now you gonna come some help at me
No,
about
look,
Panama?
I liked him as a man. I
Yeah,
disagreed with his policy.
And I'm sitting here talking
We
real
thought
business.
Giving away the Panama Canal was a good thing. I think it cost him the election. That and the hostages. I actually think that was a bigger factor because that's a
Bagger.
deal that just should not have been made.
Come on now. Trump, let
again,
me handle
this was
him.
a question that was asked of me. I didn't bring it up. I didn't want to bring up the Panama Canal
No, bring up that.
because of
What?
Jimmy Carter's death.
Come on now.
People don't bring it
Y'all
up.
boy
but,
don't have
you
respect.
and other people have asked me about it. No, it's a deal that I was very strongly against. I
You
was a
ain't got
young
nothing
guy
good to
when
say.
this
Don't
took
say it
place,
at
but
all.
Just why would we spend all of that money, lose 38,000 people to malaria, the mosquito?
Bang.
They were dying. It was horrible what was happening. They paid them 4 times more than they would make in the United States, but they knew they were going to go over there and die. And they died in the jungles of malaria. There was nothing we could do to stop it. 38,000. And then we gave it away for $1.
Sean, you lying now. Now you putting juice on it. We ain't sell it for $1.
Yesterday for 2 bill approaches. Still your preference for one big, beautiful bill, as you have said.
Well, I like one big, beautiful bill, and I always have, I always will. But if,
Yes, sir.
if 2 is
I
more
don't
certain,
like making new
it
bills.
does go a
neither.
little bit quicker.
I like
because you
one
can
bill.
do the
Or the
immigration
bill I
stuff
already
early.
got.
Now,
10,
you have to
15
understand,
years.
for immigration and
30
for the
years.
wall, we won the case on the wall. You
I
know,
don't
they
like
tried to
making
sell
new
the wall
bills.
for 5 cents on the dollar, by the way. And we had, fortunately, a judge that stopped that. But they were already discarding the wall. And 5 cents on the dollar. And you know what they were doing? They were calling us up and saying, we'll sell it back to you at 200 cents. In other words, double what we paid for it. So they were going to buy it from this guy for 5 cents on the dollar. They were making deals. And fortunately, we had a very smart judge that stopped it cold. I think he called for an investigation, too, and he should. But think of it. They were selling the wall. That was exactly the wall that the Border Patrol wanted. That was designed by them. Steel, concrete, rebar. Exactly as they want. Very, very heavy steel, very powerful steel, hard to cut. Very, very heavy 7,000-pound concrete, which is a very strong concrete. Everything was top of the line.
Strong.
Very expensive. Would be double what we paid for it then, 6 years ago. But let me just tell you, they were selling it for 5 cents on the dollar to people, and those people were calling us, asking us to pay them 200 cents because it's a good deal because we can have it immediately. And you know what immediately is? Just leave it in place. No, the papers haven't written that, though. You understand? That deal is like all the other things that these people do. These people either hate our country or they're very stupid. And I don't believe they're stupid because nobody can cheat on elections like they cheat and be stupid.
Amen.
They either hate our country or they're stupid. So remember what I said because nobody wants to report it. They were selling the wall for 5 cents on the dollar and trying to resell it back to us for 200 cents or less, but for 200 cents on the dollar. That's a nice return.
Say that again, Trump. I wish you could run that back. Say that again now.
Post on its website. And Meta said
Say that again.
putting fact checks on its website and instead allow community.
Man, y'all get
Well, I
over
watched
there.
their news conference, and I thought it was a very good news conference. I think they've come a long way. Meta,
I will report on
Facebook. I think they've come a long way. I watched
Trump,
it
you out of
because
here.
energy.
You out of here, Trump. We was reporting on ASAP Rocky.
Sort of implies
Yeah.
they indicate a class, a group of
Gonna keep
guns
up with
that
the
may share
ASAP Rocky.
Right. And
God say the same, man. Lay low, play slow, enterprise on YouTube, man. Get over there and check me out, man. His soul for
So
the man.
individual
Trying to
characteristics
think
are
outside the box, make a
unintentional
way.
flaws that
Keep
actually are
fatherhood.
created when the
Move
firearm
with a purpose.
is manufactured. Also, as it wears or corrodes over time. These microscopic flaws are pretty amazing because we can actually take guns off the assembly line and distinguish marks from guns even when they're manufactured one after the other. So these are individual characteristics that we would use in a traditional, I guess, microscopic comparison.
Thank you. So based on that, then, is it correct to say that class characteristics place an item within a category, general category, while individual characteristics can uniquely identify a specific item?
Y'all know I'm multitask.
That is how we intend to use them. Yes, the individual characteristics can be used to form an opinion of common origin, meaning that the examiner has determined it's their opinion they agree because they were fired in the same manner.
Right. And in this case, you didn't look at individual characteristics, right? You just limited your analysis to class characteristics. Is that right?
That's correct. For type and caliber analysis, that's the procedure.
Right. You looked at those class characteristics to try to narrow down the possible firearms that could have possibly fired these two shell cases. Is that right?
We're looking for evidence of known guns that produce similar marks, and we attempt to produce that list because it can be added to.
Yes, sir.
Advantageous how?
It can eliminate whole
enterprise.
groups of guns, especially calibers.
Try to keep up with the ASAP Rocky.
So a great number of calibers out there.
Man, y'all get over there.
We can immediately
Hit sub for me,
sort of
man.
push those off the table as
Just trying to lay
potential
low,
sources.
play slow. Move with a
At the same
purpose,
time,
think outside the
we
box.
can
Lay low, play
generate a
slow,
list
enterprise.
that may be of interest should a gun of that make come across
A little bit of
investigators' desks.
journalism, a little bit of
It
gaming, a little bit of fatherhood.
Let them know that it's
Just moving with a purpose.
possibly useful to pursue additional examination and other.
And what you just said was that you do this examination to eliminate, your words, potential sources for the cartridges, right?
The class characteristics will eliminate a great deal of sources out there. Even our most common set of class characteristics are still eliminating huge numbers of guns.
Sure. And the purpose of eliminating those potential sources responsible for possibly firing a shell casing or a cartridge is to leave open other potential sources from which those shell casings derived. Is that correct?
Could you repeat that? I think I lost it.
Sure.
Lay low, play slow, enterprise on YouTube. His sub. A little bit of
Sources that
journalism,
are apples and
fatherhood,
oranges don't have the
gaming.
same class characteristics. They
Moving
will
with a
be.
purpose, thinking outside the box.
Is correct. Yes.
That's correct.
Okay. And the reason you're eliminating those potential sources is to leave open the possibility of other potential sources from which the shell casings came.
Yeah, logically, that's correct.
That's a good. That's a good question.
Now, what you did was that you looked at the shell casings and you determined that they exhibited the these general class characteristics, the ones you talked about. Is that right?
Yes, there are cartridge cases. I don't think we're going to mistake what you mean, but yes.
Okay. You understand that when I'm referring to shell casings, what they've been referred to throughout this trial, I'm referring to the cartridge cases. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. It is okay if I continue to refer to the shell cases?
Please, I don't think it creates any misunderstanding.
Thank you. And you determined that the class characteristics that you saw were consistent with having been the shell cases discharged from a number of different aftermarket firearm slides. Is that right?
They are known to have come from a particular style of aftermarket slide made for a particular size frame.
Well, in your report, you noted that the shell casings, this is page 1, exhibit, these are your words, characteristics typical of aftermarket slides for a series of subcompact pistol frames. Is that right?
That's right.
Right. And then you identified a number of potential frames that were consistent with the characteristics that you saw. Is that right?
Does Blue Chew really work?
Oh yeah, man, I supposed to been ran into y'all, man. Man, you get 30 days for free. Check it out, bro. I ain't even gotta. Y'all can quit asking that question. No cap. Get you some Blue Chew, bro.
Market firearm slides that you're using for comparison purposes. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, one more time.
Sure. You're looking at these class characteristics and determining that they are consistent not with actual firearms themselves, but with the particular part of the firearm, the aftermarket firearm slide. Is that right?
The slide of the gun is where these marks originate.
Right.
So that's what we can associate or evaluate.
Right. I think you just clarified, not the frame itself, but the slide that goes on top of the frame.
Yeah, that's effective.
All right. And in particular, with regard to the class characteristics, you observed that the shell casings in this case had a teardrop-shaped firing aperture. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. And the firing pin aperture, you spoke to this, and it's really sort of just it's a hole in the breech space of the slide where that firing pin passes through. Is that right? Yes.
Correct. Correct.
And you also observed that the shell casings have a firing pin impression which is also shaped like a teardrop. Is that right?
Correct.
Correct.
And you said that the firing pin impression also has a metal injection mold seam. Is that right?
It appears to have a linear mark that we associate with that particular manufacturing process, yes.
Okay.
So hey, I need yes or no.
The metal injection mold, and that's simply just a line left in the firing pin from the manufacturing process. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And the firing pin impression, you spoke to this, that's just a mark that's left on the primer of the fired cartridge when the firing pin strikes it in the back, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, after
You should explain yourself on that one.
observations of the shell casings, you searched, you alluded to this, various databases for categories of these firearm slides that exhibit those general characteristics. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And in particular, you searched, what is it, the AFTI website, class characteristic matrix, that is called?
The class characteristic matrix, yes, is a search tool on the AFTI website.
Okay, and the AFTI, AFTA, that's just the Association of Firearm and Tool Mark Examiners.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. Now, you looked at that database, or rather, you looked at, in addition to the AFTI database, you looked at the database within the Firearms Analysis Unit, and that's the NIDA. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And in addition to those databases, you also searched firearms analysis units, your own units, those on collection of 229 discharge cartridges. Is that right?
Yes, cartridge cases. Correct.
Okay.
Now, you spoke to this, but after conducting your search in these databases and making your observations, you rendered an opinion that the class characteristics that you observed on the two shell casings were seen in certain aftermarket slides for firearm frames, which included the Polymer 80 model PF9SS. Is that one of them?
That is.
The Glock model SS80. Is that right?
Yes.
The Glock model 43, right?
Correct.
And the Glock model 43X. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
You think, or do you know?
Now, is it fair to say that this process that you talked about, looking at firing pin apertures, firing pin impressions, and determining whether they look like, in this case, teardrops or D shapes or semicircles, it involves some level of subjectivity?
Yes.
Right. And in fact, that's why sometimes multiple people have to make determinations regarding how a firing pin impression or firing pin aperture should be characterized, right?
No.
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 Okay. So in determining whether or not, you just said this, determining whether the firing pin impression or the aperture looks like one type of shape or another, if it fits into a hemisphere, I think that's one type of D shape, one type of firing pin aperture, right? Hemisphere, is that one?
Hemispherical is a more accurate term for something I just call round.
Round. Okay. Is there a semi-hemisphere?
I don't know that term. No, there's one that is sort of a modified hemispherical shape. It has sort of a beveled edge on one side, but it's not really called semi-hemispherical. It's been referred to as a D-shaped firing pin.
Okay. But in making the assessment,
thank you for clarifying that.
You said this already, there is some level of subjectivity.
To looking at shapes?
No, to determining what the shape is, right? In other words, these firing pins aren't standardized, right? You have how many different manufacturers making these firing pins? They're not going to be one particular shape, right?
They are
pretty much going to be the same.
Right.
And they use a
If
range
it's being manufactured.
Right, essentially a broad range of shapes, right?
At least three.
Okay. And in making the assessment, whether
Thank
or
you
not
for clarifying that.
it's one shape or another, you said this already, there is some level of subjectivity to this, right?
Yes, to looking at shape.
And in that regard, that level of subjectivity doesn't just apply to you, but to the people who enter information in the databases that you rely on, right? When they're entering information into the computer system, the same level of subjectivity that would apply to you would apply to them, right? Sure. Okay. Now, you identified these
if they got a
four pistol
chain of command, it might not be. I don't know if he top man though.
would be consistent with the class characteristics that you observed, but you'd agree that those are not the only ones having aftermarket slides exhibiting the characteristics that you observed, right?
Not exactly. So the marks are known to come from particular size of aftermarket slide. That slide is compatible with these four frames that I know. That was what is meant by the report engines.
Your report expressly states that the two shell casings exhibit characteristics typical of aftermarket slides for a series of subcompact pistol frames, including frames we saw on the screen there, but not limited to the four that you identified, right?
No, not tech.
Okay.
No, nigga, you better explain yourself. I'm trying to help you.
Now,
I ain't helping nobody, I'm just
your
saying.
analysis relies
I
on
just know how the game
databases
goes.
that you use for comparison.
He trying to lead you to say what you want you to say.
For reference purposes, it's not a side-by-side comparison of marks. Yes.
I understand, but now obviously certain firearm slides, or let me just back on this, I want to make sure the record's clear. In order for you to make your or render an opinion, you're relying upon databases, right?
Nah, not all the way.
Published information, yes. One database,
Experience.
whatever call it, that class characteristic matrix. That's a searchable database.
Right. That's the AFTI, correct?
That is housed on the AFTI website. Yeah, that's one of their tools.
Right. Correct. And you use that tool to enter in search parameters against the firing pin aperture of a teardrop shape that you saw, and it generated a list of potential firearms or firearm slides that match that characteristic. Is that right?
That use the same shape.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. And you'd agree that the databases that you looked at are still being developed, right?
The class characteristic matrix is definitely a newer one. I would call it a developing database. Yes.
And to be clear, the list of firearms generated from your search are not all inclusive of the firearms consistent with the class characteristics that you observed. Is that right?
It can't be considered all-inclusive because it's based on finite reference information.
Right.
It includes all the ones that we're aware of. It is possible that there are, always possible there's facts we are unaware of.
Right. And obviously, certain firearm slides or class characteristics are not contained.
But I mean, we talking ghost guns, I want to say though.
Right.
We ain't specifically talking modified guns. I mean,
There
manufactured.
are other possible items you didn't locate which are compatible with the shell cases, right?
There are other possible items.
Your words. Did you say that on direct?
I don't recall exactly, but you're talking about candidate sources that use this style of class characteristics. Is that what the testimony was about?
It's your testimony. Can you tell me? Or
It's your testimony, son.
Would you agree that there are other possible firearm slides or firearms?
It's your testimony, son. We talking 7 years. I want to say we talking 7 years. This shit say ASAP Rocky. Real name Rakeem Mayers is accused of shooting at his former childhood friend Terrell Efren, aka ASAP Relly, or if that's pronounced right, near a Hollywood hotel in November 2021. He was arrested at Los Angeles International Airport for a crime 5 months later. April 2022. ASAP Rocky faces 2 charges of felony assault with a semi-automatic firearm. Indicate they are seeking 8 years. So is this your testimony?
Into LAPD custody over that period. And either of those groups that are bookending the actual incident date came back with no other candidates that actually had that firing pin.
So when you say you examined them, are you talking about the database? You're talking about your collection of ghost guns?
And fix your face. And fix your posture.
The exhibits that I collected from the test firing of ghost guns, the physical exhibits that, yes, are actually in the laboratory.
Right.
That's
Straight up. Fix your face. You up there with that face. Fix your face.
yes.
Okay.
God damn it.
How many different makes of aftermarket slides exist?
There are dozens of manufacturers. They are pretty hard to track.
Right. Dozens of manufacturers. Could it be hundreds?
It's possible.
Right. And each of these manufacturers can make how many different aftermarket slides? Do you know? How many different types?
How many actual units they can produce?
No, types.
Types per manufacturer.
You don't know, do you?
No, they tend not to actually mark these components, so it's very difficult to track.
Right.
Can't track that, huh?
And because you don't know how many different makes of aftermarket slides exist, you would know how many different makes of aftermarket slides specifically have a teardrop firing, an aperture, and a teardrop shaped firing. You couldn't know that, right?
No, sir.
Again, we treat it as an aggregate brand, okay, because we don't know who's actually making them. I try to cast a wide net and look at all the products I can get my hands on.
My boy asked you
I only was able to find
a simple yes or no question.
based on the intake into the Los Angeles Police Department, as well as that database.
Don't blame it on Los Angeles. No.
Correct, the NIDA database. It's constantly being fed.
And there's a reason that's still developing, right? Because you're looking for more information.
The developing one is the class characteristics matrix that is on the FD website.
Right.
I call that developing because typically we use a database of bullet rifle. That's got like 15,000 exhibits in that database. It's been around for decades. That's a pretty robust database. This class characteristics database on that website that applies to cartridge cases is developing. So I used it to broaden candidates I might want to look at, but not as a resource that I would consider all inclusive at this stage.
You can hear a pin drop, cause sir, that all that running around you just did. I'm trying to sneak my shit back like that. Cap. And halfway, I'm trying to sneak back way.
Now, with regard to these aftermarket slides that have a teardrop firing pin aperture and a teardrop shaped firing pin, how many of them, let me rephrase it, how many firearms are there that are in existence right now, types of firearms, that are compatible with aftermarket slides with a teardrop firing pin aperture and a teardrop shaped firing pin? Can you give a definitive answer?
You can't answer that.
I can give an approximate based on my experience here in our flow of firearms.
Can't answer that.
LAPD. Is that
And you would
You're guessing.
approximate answer without
Off experience.
without knowing all the different types of aftermarket slides that exist? You can give an approximate answer?
I can give an approximate based on how many in this group that we see relative to the total amount of guns that come into the unit.
Right. But those would be only the guns that are logged into your database. If they're not in there, you can't use them for reference purposes, right?
Those are guns that come through NIVEN on a daily basis. So it is part of our...
Fix your facial expression, fix your body.
Just to have these guns that
This
are
shit important,
handguns
nigga.
will be input into the system every day.
Would you agree that blocks are very popular?
His body language, his facial expression, like he,
Would it make sense
nigga,
that
take
you find
pride in this.
many blocks in your database? What's that?
It's a man's life on the line,
Yes.
8 years.
Including blocks with aftermarket slides?
They do come through the unit.
Yeah, you know what you signed. You used to work for the
Sometimes on
science
block
division,
plans,
boy.
overwhelmingly more common on the unserialized.
Supposed to have a whole lot of better professionalism, body language, all his faces rolling his eyes. It's a man's life on the line, 8 years.
Block 43s. Block 43s. Thank you.
In the United States. Yeah.
Sorry? No.
My bad, Judge.
Block 43Xs? Yeah.
No. In terms of our intake,
No, in the United States, at present. If your intake doesn't intake every single firearm in the United States. How many exist in the United States? If you know, you don't?
I don't in the United States.
Okay. How about the Hollywood 80 model PF9 SS Ghost gun frame? You know how many exist in the United States?
He can't answer that.
How about Glock's model SS80 Ghost gun frames? You know how many of those exist in the
He
United
can't
States?
answer that.
Yeah.
Now, in addition to the ones we just named, the PF9SS, the SS80, the Glock 43, and the Glock 43X, your database search revealed other firearms with a teardrop firing aperture. Isn't that right?
Yes, as well as the published literature. Yes.
Right, such as Smith & Wesson.
Published literature.
Yes.
Oh, you was smart ass, huh?
MC1SC, right?
I'd have to
Yeah, we
verify
just
that model.
experienced.
It sounds correct, yes.
Okay. How about other Glock Generation 5 pistols? Did you find that when you did search?
For the teardrop-shaped firing pin aperture.
Sure.
Not the firing pin
It's a
itself.
firing pin aperture.
Yes.
In fact, when you did your search, that was the term that you entered in the query. You were looking specifically for just firing pin apertures with a teardrop, right?
That's for that one particular AFD class characteristic matrix. That is the only feature that I entered. So that's only going to restrict based on the aperture.
Should answer my question with yes. That's what you looked for, right?
That's where I wanted to be clear.
Okay, thank you. And you agree that that teardrop firing pin aperture has also been found on a Taurus firearm, right?
Yes.
Specifically the Taurus GX4, right?
Again, that model sounds correct. I can check my notes.
You want
Look at 'em.
So it's on page 8 of your report, if you want to see it.
Cause this man life on I told you he got bad body language, facial expression. You work for the science division. His attitude, his professionalism, body language, I don't like it. You got a man life on like 8 years. He up here rolling his eye.
Yes, the Taurus model with the teardrop aperture that I'm aware of is a model GX.
You aware of, cause you ain't looked at nothing.
You said
You ain't find nothing.
on the two shell casings is teardrop-shaped firing pin impression. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you agree that the Glock 43 exhibits class characteristics which include a D-shaped firing pin impression, right?
Yes.
Likewise, the Glock 43X exhibits class characteristics which include a D-shaped firing pin impression, right?
The Glock manufactured slides. That's correct. They have a different shaped firing pin impression than the one that I observed.
Right. The teardrop shape is distinct from the D shape.
Yes, very much so.
So to be clear, the Glock 43 and the Glock 43X do not depict teardrop firing pin impressions that are even remotely similar to the shell casings that you examined. Is that right?
That's correct. It is the aftermarket slide, which is compatible with those two frames that you just listed.
Right. I'm not the Glock.
That aftermarket slide does produce those models.
Right. But you didn't connect it to a Glock 43 or Glock 43X that you said are typically sold here in the United States, right?
That's correct. The standard manufactured Glocks don't match.
Okay.
Okay.
So in other words, the shell casings you recover are inconsistent with the class characteristics of Glock 43 and Glock 43X firearms, right?
These slides manufactured by Glock and sold. That is the part that does not match. The slides that are aftermarket, which are consistent, are compatible with the Glock 43 and the Glock 43X.
And the slides that are sold by Glock for the 43 and 43X are not compatible.
I'm not.
The Glocks themselves, I'm not talking about aftermarket slides. I'm talking about Glock. You go to the store, you want to buy a
They're not
Glock that's
compatible,
sold from
no.
Glock. Glock 43, Glock 43X. It's not your those shell casings did not come from a Glock 43 or 43X, did they?
They did not come from a slide that is manufactured by Glock,
That's what I'm asking.
such as I'm aware of. When I say compatible, we are talking about the compatibility of a slide and the frame. So the frame is manufactured by Glock. The slide manufactured by Glock, they're compatible, they can work together. The slide manufactured by Glock does not, however, produce these models.
So for that matter,
Thank you for
most of
clarifying
the
that.
Polymer 80 model PF9SS and the Glockster model SS80 samples that you looked at in your Ghost Gun collection exhibited a D-shaped firing pin. Is that right?
Yes, it's a smaller group of those ghost guns that actually have this particular slide in my collection.
And in fact, in your collection, of those 229 ghost guns, only 2 Glockster model SS80 samples exhibited both the teardrop firing pin aperture and the teardrop firing pin impression. Only 2 of them, right?
Yes, it's rare.
Yeah.
It's rare.
So most
Speak
of the
up.
F9SS and SS80 ghost gun samples that you looked at were not consistent with the past characteristics you observed in the shell cases, right?
Yes, that's correct.
By the way, despite your analysis, just so it's clear, Mr. Verner, the same marks that you observed and testified on the two FC 9mm shell casings could have been made at a firing range, right?
Yes, I don't know where they were just.
You don't know where that was. Yeah. We're finna give you a rope to hang yourself.
This may be the last ad
Straight
you
up.
see. With Pi Ad Block.
That was a question to give him a rope to hang yourself, y'all. No kizzy. Y'all. They probably taking another recess, y'all. Trump said Trump still talking. I was tuned in to see what Trump was talking about. Trump ain't lied no more, is it? Trump still talking.
I'm blaming maybe our government for not wanting to release those numbers. Many more people died than what you know about. When those big buildings come down and they say 2 people were injured, no. Many people, thousands of people are being killed. But the real killing now is on the war front. It's a very flat land. And the only thing that stops a bullet is somebody's body. And you have young soldiers. So Russia's lost about 800,000 soldiers now. Ukraine's lost.
Yeah, we already heard that. We're going to wait and see how long these boys going to come back on trial, man. ASAP Rocky, man. Let's see, can we dig a little more while we wait? Let's see, can I pull up a little more while we wait? I'll read some. Oh shit, I'm tripping. See what Fox 5 wrote out. Oh wait. ASAP Rocky, one of hip hop's most recognizable names, is in the spotlight for reasons beyond his music. The rapper is on trial in in Los Angeles, facing 2 federal assault charges for allegedly firing a gun at former friend ASAP Rocky during 2021 confrontation. Dang. Alright. Why is ASAP we just got that. With Rocky's career on the public image hanging in the balance, the trial has captured national attention, fueled by high-profile connections to Rihanna, his partner and mother of their 2 kids. The outcome could have significant repercussions for the rapper, who faces up to 24 years and if convicted. I thought they just said 8 years. They just said so Fox. Why y'all putting y'all see how they juice it up? Now we right there live with Law and Crime, and they said them folks ain't asking but for 8 years out there, man, bro. Seeking 8 years. Now Fox through that why? Folks, do your research. Do your research. Why? ASAP Rocky is accused of finding a gun at phone. Okay, I need important shit. What we don't know. All right, despite the allegations, key questions remain unanswered. There is no video evidence of the shooting itself, only security footage showing part of the encounter. It is unclear whether forensic analysis can verify that the shell casings rarely presented actually came from the alleged incident. And that was my boy, that's why his body language, face expression, what I was talking about. Prosecutors have produced direct evidence beyond Real's testimony only confirmed that discharge. prosecutors have, let me make sure y'all heard what I said. The prosecutors have produced direct evidence beyond real testimony to confirm that a real firearm was discharged. With no physical proof tying Rocket to a gunfire incident, the case heavily relies on witness testimony and credibility. Yep. So really still alive. They back. Really still alive.
See the combination of class characteristics that you saw in this case from any gun that did not have an aftermarket slot?
No.
And I know you said it, but if you can answer, what size frame is it that slide would be compatible?
See these marks from an aftermarket slide, which is compatible with a Glock 43, Glock 43X, as well as two Ghost gun frames, the SS80 and the PF9SS. So the frames that I'm aware of.
Are those size frames the size that's compatible with a 43 and 43X? Are those common frames that you see in your lab?
They are relatively uncommon.
Can you explain that to the jury?
So based on my background experience, as well as some of the facts and figures that I sort of curate as a trainer in type and caliber with LAPD, I'd be comfortable stating that we see these guns in the flow of guns that come into the unit at a range, we're talking around 1%. Definitely, I'd be very comfortable saying they're in the low single-digit percent range for how often we see them in the flow of guns into our unit.
And the class characteristics that you're talking about, are you observing shapes on the back of the fire cartridge cases, correct?
That is what a class characteristic is, yes.
In counsel's questioning, he asked you if there was subjectivity in that determination of what the shape is on the back of the cartridge case.
He did.
What is the subjectivity in that determination?
Anytime we look through a microscope, we look through a telescope, we are perceiving information. This is a standard way of performing science. We attempt to
Did you let science be science or you said performance science? Did y'all hear what he said? He said performance science. When he performing science.
Photographs. And at the end of the day, they are in better condition when I've done
observing the science.
They can be re-examined again. So there's subjectivity in determining what's a square, what's a circle, for me as well as for my kids. But here in the laboratory, we have procedures that we can use to assure that there's quality results in that subjective determination.
Was that a hard determination for you to make, to determine that the aperture impression on those fire cartridge cases was a teardrop shape?
No.
Was it a difficult determination for you to make to say that the shape of the firing pin impression on those fire cartridge cases was also a teardrop shape?
No, no.
You all right?
You have what, 19 years of experience in the firearm analysis unit?
Correct.
Is making that determination something that even a newer analyst could do with relative ease?
Objection, Your Honor. We have a ground level regulation. As phrased,
It's a basic determination in our first week of cartridge case comparison training you should do.
Okay. With the database searches that you conducted, you said that the class characteristics database on the AFI website was a developing database, correct?
That's correct.
Is NIBIN, is that a national database?
It is.
Used throughout the country?
It's used throughout the country, I believe possibly internationally, and it's been used over the course of my training.
A large database?
Yes.
Okay. that were listed in your report, or manufacturers that used a teardrop aperture. He specifically mentioned Mossberg.
He can't really.
GX4.
That teardrop push to stop it.
Asking about?
Yes.
Those were firearms that you observed had the teardrop aperture, correct?
That's correct.
But did those firearms also have the teardrop firing pin portion?
You don't know.
The firing pin on those firearms is drastically different.
So can you say that those guns could not have been the guns that fired these cartridge cases because the class characteristics do not match?
He can't tell you the.
We don't
No, he
perform
can't
a
tell you.
one-to-one elimination.
What?
Those are just digital images. The class characteristics
Cartridge
I
came
see
from
there,
what?
if I had those in the laboratory, they would constitute a elimination. They're not from the same source.
Can't tell you. Real shit.
That's correct.
Nothing else.
Anything, Steve? There you are. All right, Mr. Bergen, thank you very much. You are excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge, I'll let you have the floor now. Judge on. Run that. Conduct that for me. I'm peeping them out the same way you peeping them out. I don't like this body language.
Subject to the admission of our exhibits that you will address.
All right, we'll deal with that
Tomorrow.
morning, so the defense should be prepared.
We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Evidence tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Before you leave,
Get paperwork right.
tell you, mention something to you. You heard Mr. Barima say that he did not do any analysis of the shell casings that were found, or Mr. Efron said he found. He didn't. Mr. Barima did not do an analysis of those casings to the magazine that was recovered at Mr. Mayor's house about 6 to 7 months.
Why is filing your taxes with Free Tax USA different?
Man, file your taxes with Jesus Christ before you go oversee it with somebody else. Pray over. Pray over that paperwork.
Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves or anybody else.
Hold on, y'all. Sit down.
10 o'clock tomorrow. We're going to
10 o'clock tomorrow.
Please keep an open mind. Do not look at anything online or in print media regarding this.
Don't be on Lalo Play Store Enterprise tonight. That's the jury, not y'all. Y'all stay in tune.
I gave the.
I'm gonna see y'all in the morning.
All right, folks. See you tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
All right. Yes, sir, Ski. Lalo Play Store Enterprise, man. Thinking outside the box always and forever. The sky ain't the limit no more. Checking out, reporting live straight from my flesh.